Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up, and you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Happy Thursday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Thanks for joining us. See a lot of people in the chat already. And, you know, as the offseason rolls on, we sort of discuss, well, fellas, what do we want to talk about today? And the Hawks just keep laying content at our feet.
We never have to plan a show. It's just, really, what will the news be today? And we'll talk about it.
Well, so before we get into the big topic at hand, earlier this morning, the Blackhawks on Twitter, and I'm sure I haven't seen it on Facebook, but I'm sure it's on Facebook too, released a statement from Danny Wirtz on around the 2-year anniversary of them announcing their Native American initiatives. And the video was great. I think he did not soft sell anything. He talked about the horrors of the boarding schools and those sort of things. He said in a quote, the forced removal of Native peoples from the Illinois land. Like he did not back down on his message. And I think what he was saying is, we have a lot of work to do. Here's some of the work we've done. There's a lot more to do. They announced 2 new 4-year scholarships for Indigenous high school students, one in the name of Jim Thorpe for athletics and one for Chief Blackhawk for leadership. So that's a great thing. They're asking SAC and Fox Nations how they can better support their visions for their future and their communities. They were part of a donation of a decommissioned Blackhawk helicopter for the SAC and Fox Nations Veteran Memorial. So they're doing a lot of things when it comes to Native American initiatives. Well, if you went to a Hawks game last year, the land acknowledgement is not some half-assed thing. It is a fully produced, beautifully narrated, beautifully illustrated by Native American artists. It's wonderful. If you have any sort of heart at all, it always tugs at the heartstrings, and they shut the lights off. It is something they make you pay attention to. So kudos to the Blackhawks for acknowledging that they hadn't done enough in decades past, and Danny said so much in the video, and for taking steps forward in trying to repair and trying to fix, and help and support these communities that need it so badly. So that's terrific. Obviously, that goes without saying. And what's funny is, over the last few days before the shows, Greg and Mario and I have had conversations about, it feels like as people are down on the Hawks more than ever, that if they wanted to do another, what will probably be unpopular, not as unpopular as not bringing back Eddie Olczyk and not, and trading Alex DeBrincat, now might be the time to discuss changing the logo. And I think that's where we're going to have our conversation today. And I know this is a hot button topic for a lot of people. We're going to try to be level headed about it. We're going to try to be reasonable about it. And we hope you'll do the same if you're joining us in the chat. So I know I just talked for a long time, but I just wanted to make sure that we got out what the Hawks said today and made sure we're giving them kudos for what they've done. And I think we'll get into it, but I think more needs to be done for it to really have meaning. But so far they're doing, I'll give them a B+ for what they've done with their Native American initiatives.
Yeah, I think the one of the biggest things that that the video with Danny mentioned that I think is super important when you kind of read about what some of these indigenous people have gone throughout history was the app that the Blackhawks are partnered with and helping to develop that will help these SAC and Fox Nations preserve their language and be able to continue to pass that down to new generations within those nations. That was part of the mentioning of the boarding schools that if you've read up on those at all, they are just horrific stories of the treatment of indigenous people in those environments, and the basically taking their language, taking their culture away from them. So I think that is completely separate from hockey at all. I think that is something that is really important to those people, and it's great to see that the Blackhawks are going to be part of that, be supportive of that. I think they are, yes, taking the right steps that they need to help rebuild basically that relationship with Native people of especially of the Illinois region. Those tribes and those people is very important. I'm glad that the Blackhawks are doing that. To the point of the discussions that we've had off the show. Yeah, I mean, when the news has been unfavorable for the Blackhawks, if they're going to change the logo, you doing it within the rebuild, I think is bold, but also makes the most sense, because thinking from a PR standpoint, if you're worried about people being down on the team, well, they already are. So if you're worried about negative reaction, you're already experiencing it. So it'll not to say it'll get lost in the shuffle, but it'll be part of the shuffle. And I think changing the logo, I like to think of it as reimagining it. I don't think we're going to, if and whenever they change the logo, we're going to go completely like, they're no longer called the Blackhawks. They're now the Chicago, I don't know, the Chicago Bobcats or whatever.
Sting.
Just to throw a just to throw a name out there, and it's going to be completely different. I don't envision that to be the case whatsoever. I think and we can, this will definitely be a point in our discussion, I'm sure. I think separating the team name back to Blackhawks and reimagining the logo as a hawk, having the same color scheme, incorporating the feathers. I think those are all things that will probably be the direction that they go if and when they change the logo. And I think there's many different ways that they can do it that it will be good, if not maybe even better. So I think it's all positive steps. There's definitely more to be done, but yes, it is in general very good.
Yeah, before I get into the specifics of the actual logo and stuff, we'll talk about that here. I'm just happy that it seems that the Blackhawks are listening to the Native American community. They've spent a lot of time on this. This is not something you're going to be able to do overnight. This is not something you're just going to say, hey, here's what, they're listening to their concerns. They're learning about their culture and why certain things might make them uncomfortable or be offensive, and learning why. We need more of that in our society as a whole. We need to listen to each other in order to learn why things offend people, or why things are uncomfortable to others, or why things remind them of horrific things in the past. We are too quick in this society as a whole to just say, well, it doesn't offend me, so screw you, it's not offensive. No, that's not the right way to do it. We need to listen more as a whole, not just to this issue, with all of our issues. We need to listen to each other. We need to have some empathy. We live in a society that has very little empathy. We need to, even though things don't affect me personally, I can still feel for you when they do. There are a lot of issues in this society that will never affect me personally, but that doesn't mean I can't care about it. That doesn't mean I can't fight for those that they do affect. Listening and learning, it's not hard. It takes a little time. It takes some patience. You may have to have some uncomfortable discussions, but on the other side of those, you'll come out a better person, because now you understand where other people are coming from. You may not still agree with everything, but at least you can understand their point of view when it comes to certain issues. We need more of that. And it seems like the Blackhawks are doing that on this issue and other things as well. Listening is very hard to do, because everybody wants to just stand up and scream their opinion and shout it to the ethers, and you have to agree with my opinion. Sometimes you just need to shut the F up and listen.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's very easy to do.
It's a good way to put it.
And then you could take that information however you want to process it If it makes you reform your opinion, awesome. If it makes you just say, no, I heard you, I still don't like it, but at least you heard somebody. Listening is always a good thing, and the Blackhawks are doing that. So I will tip my hat to them for starting that process by just shutting the F up and listening.
Commenting here, and there's a lot to get. There's so many comments in here, and everyone has been, well, most people in the chat have been really, really cool and positive. And Neil, I appreciate you saying that this podcast is one of the safest places to have this discussion. You say that because of commenters like you who can actually listen and have a conversation. Look, right over my shoulder, that shoulder is the Blackhawks logo. I have a dozen plus Blackhawks jerseys. I've got not hundreds, but dozens of Blackhawks hats. The logo is everywhere in my house. I've got this Chicago Blackhawks WeatherTech drink coaster. Spaceballs the flamethrower. I've got it all. I have everything with the logo on it. I love the logo. I think it's beautiful. You look at the jersey and the way it's stitched, it's absolutely breathtaking in terms of how sports logos look. And Michael brings up a good point too. He says, I feel the Blackhawks logo has always been respectful, not like Cleveland or the Illini. And I do agree. There are levels of, like, the Washington football team, unacceptable. The name that they had, and Miami of Ohio had the same name, and Marist High School on the South Side had the same name. That had to change. It's not the same as Blackhawks. Blackhawks refers to a specific Native American. And if you go on Hockey Reference and look up Blackhawks seasons of the past, you'll see there's CHI. And then I'm trying to remember what year it was, but one year it changes to CBH.
81, they changed it. Yeah.
Was it 81?
It was Chicago Blackhawks. 3 words.
I thought it was earlier than later than that. I thought it was like 86, 87 season.
I can confirm that real quickly for you. Yeah, but it was
regardless. Yeah.
In the past,
it was
they have been
Blackhawks, 2 words for the majority of the history. That's how it started, and they only combined it in the 1 word. I have it for you right here. 1980, the 86-87 season was the first time. So you're talking less than 40 years. It's been 2 words, where the first 60 something years it was 2 words. So it can be done. It's retro. It's retro. Look back at your Winter Classic jerseys, folks. It says Black Space Hawks right there. Everybody loves a good retro logo. So there you go.
Definitely. And Brandon has a $5 super chat. Thanks, Brandon. He says, isn't it important to understand the heritage of the logo? I get the listen and learn and all of that. Chief Blackhawk was an important symbol in Chicago, of course. And that's what the land acknowledgement is about. And you could put something in the United Center that has old Blackhawks jerseys, that tells the heritage of the team, tells where it was coming from, all those sort of things. It doesn't mean you keep it forever, because that's what it's always been, right? And I think there's a few ways to sort of tackle this if they do choose to change the logo. I think you can roll out a 3rd jersey that features a black hawk, or maybe has the C instead of the warrior head. That could be an option. You could just tear the Band-Aid off and announce a new uniform, probably not for next year, but the year after. Or you can go to Native American designers and say, help us rebrand this, help us make this better, help us make this, something that is representative of who Blackhawk was. And you can have people submit several different designs and choose from that. There's a lot of ways to do it. And I just think the longer it goes, the more, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word. I think the more like naive it seems. Like it seems like that's where this discussion is headed. It seems like when Danny Wirtz puts a video out like this, it is maybe 2 years from now. Like, oh, it's the 4-year anniversary of our initiatives, and we've learned, and we have learned that this is probably not great, right? So I think it's coming one way or another. So I don't know. I don't think keeping it on there just because it's always been there is the right thing to do. I just don't. I think you need to, they're saying,
things change.
Listen to people, and if it offends people, it should change. I just don't. And look, if they do, People will be mad for a while, and then people will get over it and buy themselves some new merch.
Logos
fine.
change, team names change, stadium names change all the time. You can't change Wrigley Field to something else. Why the hell not? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. It's just a name. It's just a logo. It's just a color. It doesn't erase your fandom. It doesn't erase the memories you had as a kid rooting for your favorite teams. It doesn't take away the 3 Stanley Cup championships. It's just a freaking logo. Nobody in the grand. Well, while we were alive,
historically.
Yes. You know, it's just a logo, and it's not that big a deal. And yes, as far as Native American imagery in pro sports, it's probably one of the least like atrocious ones, at least the more
since it's been changed. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I literally have
been updated. Yeah.
I'm looking in my office and I literally can see the logo probably 50, 60 times through all the stuff I have here. And I have a banner that has the logo of all the different versions of it, and those first couple were a little
not good.
So, you know, but listen, like, I know a lot of people say, how is it offensive? Well, it doesn't offend you because you're not a Native American, so I really don't care if it offends you or not. It's not your race, it's not your heritage that's in question here,
right?
So,
and there's people in the chat comparing it to the Fighting Irish, and I think the outcome for Irish people in America versus the people that were here before the colonizers came over and killed them and removed them from their land, it's a different story. And yes, Irish people, I'm among them, had some hardships when they came to America too, but nothing in comparison to the Native Americans who were minding their own business when a bunch of people came from Europe, started killing them and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing them out of their land.
Use these blankets.
It is not a fair comparison. It's a bad faith argument. Get it out of here. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No, it's probably time to do something different, do something modern, do something that's all inclusive, do something that could be fun. And as Mario said earlier, this is the perfect time to start really putting those wheels in motion, because you've got a lot of the fan base pissed off and angry now. So what's one more thing at this point? You know, those people who are going to jump ship because of certain things are gone. And now's the time to maybe focus on not necessarily bringing all them back. They'll come back when they win. Spoiler alert.
Yep.
Start targeting a new fan base to come in. And I think the perfect way you could do this is over the next couple of seasons, introduce a third jersey that does not have the quote unquote Indian head on it, and see how people react to that. Wear 8-10 games a year with maybe just the feathers or maybe just the tomahawk soldier patch or something. See how people react to a third jersey.
As long as it's not that damn curly hawk thing that keeps making
whoever
rounds.
I don't know, whoever designed that, but
that's been the oh, this should be the logo for there you go.
God.
I found it. That's
been around since like 2008.
Delete.
I'm going to send Mike Ivall a strongly worded email.
Well, he's a First Nations member in Canada, and he designed that as a possible alternative. But it's not.
That wouldn't get my vote.
It's just it's not.
It reminds me of the Buffalo Sabres Buffalo-Slug too much.
Yeah. You have to have something that is not going to look out of style after an amount of time.
Yeah, it's
just like the Red Wings logo, the Leafs logo, the Bruins logo. Those don't go out of style.
Mm-hmm.
They can't be too edgy or angular or aggressive.
Like,
I think
there's plenty of ways to do that. But
the other thing too is that I think some like youth teams use that logo and have like I don't know if they have like trademarks to it or anything, but there's some youth teams that use that logo. So I don't know if the Blackhawks would have to. Sorry, kids, we're taking your logo from you.
No,
no, I don't think that'll be. I don't think that'll be it. That's circulated for 15 years almost, and it's not going to be it.
I think it's safe to assume too that somewhere in the file cabinet at the United Center there is a non-Native American logo collection, because they know that eventually this is going to happen. They know eventually, and the way John McDonough operated was be ready for things, right? Theoretically anyway. And he knew, like, if the heat got too hot, if some Native Americans started seriously protesting the logo, that they'd have to make a change. And I'm sure that there were several mock-ups made that already exists that's probably filed away somewhere for them. So if it's
You'd
me,
imagine.
I'm going to Native American people and saying, help us make this better, help us make this more acceptable, and you can keep it the same style. Like Nick says, give me the CHGO Blackhawks logo. It's closer, but some people think that even using the feathers is sort of a little bit of appropriation. I don't know. It's not up to me to decide this. But it's, that's why I think you involve Native Americans, which they've been doing in a lot of the things they've been doing, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That CHGO logo ain't going to be cheap. So Danny better get the checkbook out if he wants to buy that from us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like the situation that Marc-Andre Fleury found himself in with his goalie mask is a perfect example of when you go to an indigenous artist and say, like, here, how can I have a design that uses the proper imagery, uses the proper messaging, and doesn't cross any lines or anything like that. And he turned out to have a great looking mask. And I think that is a perfect way for the Blackhawks to find a way to, like I said, again, reimagine what the logo could be in a more guided, proper function. Brandon here with a $2 super chat. Feel the use Blackhawk is a tribute to natives. It's interesting. I believe Scott Powers and Mark Lazarus of The Athletic last year or 2 years ago, can't remember exactly when it was, did a very deep dive into this discussion. And a lot of indigenous people from the nations in the Midwest and in Illinois that they talked with, there were a lot of them that said, like, they had no problem with it. And they did feel it was a tribute, but there were just about as many that said there needs to be changes. So it's, it kind of just depends on as to Greg's point, it's not our problem to decide if it's offensive or not. It is the people that it depicts. So I think it's a very nuanced conversation. For me, I believe, the logo as it is, as far as artistry, it looks great. I think it looks great on the on the sweater. I think the colors are great. It's iconic to the hockey world for sure, but that doesn't mean that it's totally fine. Times change generation to generation. What was acceptable in the 30s was not acceptable almost 100 years later in many different ways. So it's not necessarily like, oh, you're too sensitive. Like, no, like you can't be so closed-minded as we progress as people. And I just think there's ways that it can be done better, that it can be done more conscious of the people that it is, depicting. And I think the Blackhawks are taking some good first steps, but it'll definitely take more.
Yeah, and there's this little misconception. I know somebody said it in the chat too, that I can't remember who it was. It scrolled up pretty quick, that the team is named after a person, not a bird. That's not necessarily true. The team is named after the Black Hawk division of the military, which was named after Chief Black Hawk. So technically, yes, I guess, but it was actually named after the Black Hawk division by the original owner of the team, Frederick McLaughlin, because he served in that unit. So that's the history there.
There was a few years ago, they were selling at the Blackhawks store a shirt with the Blackhawks battalion logo on it, and it was basically a hawk with a shield, and it just said like BH in the shield. It was pretty cool, but then I don't know. I don't know if they're able to even use that. By the way, you mentioned Marc-Andre Fleury's mask, and he had some trouble getting his design ideas through. I actually had a chat with Stéphane Bergeron, who is his mask artist, back when that story came out. And he said, all I can say is I can't paint images about natives that reflect violence. That is the restriction. So if a Hawks player, a Hawks goalie wants Native American imagery on it, from what I understand, they can't be holding a weapon. They can't be looking angry or violent or aggressive. So these are things that the Hawks are definitely keeping an eye on and not allowing. I think Corey Crawford a few years ago had a Native American on a horse, but just sort of like looking into the distance. There was no like spear throwing. I think it was holding a spear, but there's no spear throwing or no bow drawn or anything like that. Those are the sort of things that the team does not want represented on any sort of helmet or anything. Just to let people know on that.
And the key here, as I said earlier, I know we got concerns in the chat. The Blackhawks are listening to the Native American community here. So that's the key here. They're as Danny said in the video, they're learning about things. Now, he never said in the video that the logo is going to change, but the writing is on the wall. So they're listening to the Native American community. I would imagine that when the time comes, if they haven't even started, that it's time to change a logo, the Native American community will have if not all the input into that. I hope they pick a Native American artist to design it, or a group of Native American artists to design it. Let it be a symbol of pride of their culture. I think that would be perfect.
Well, and they could be hearing from the Native Americans that we don't really have a problem with the logo.
That could be true too.
That could be like that could definitely be the case, because actions speak louder than logo changes, right? Like the Washington football team changed their name and got rid of the logo, but have they actually done anything to support Native American communities?
Doesn't seem that way.
It doesn't seem that way. So what's more impactful?
They're now a pro-military football team,
right?
So
So if the Hawks keep a logo but are genuinely actively helping these communities thrive and survive and grow, maybe that's enough. And maybe it should be enough. I don't know. Again, there's a lot of people in the chat saying 3 white dudes telling people what to be offended by. We're not telling you to be offended. We're having a discussion about something that is clearly going to come up. It's come up for other teams with similar, again, not as the Hawks logo in comparison is not offensive.
I literally just said it's not us to be offended.
Exactly.
I'm literally just said that.
I'm not offended by it.
I'm not offended by it.
It's behind me. It's right there.
But I'm not a Native American, so how can I be offended by it? I'm not offended by if ultimately the Blackhawks decide never to change the logo, fine, great. It's okay with me if they don't change it. It's okay with me if they do change it. I'm middle of the road here. I see the arguments for both sides.
That's what we're just having a discussion about it.
And I don't
telling you one way or another.
I have no stake in if they change it or not. My life will not change in any shape, way, or form if they change the logo. It will
probably save some money if they don't.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
If they do, great. If they don't, cool. Like it doesn't affect my daily life one way or the other. No sports logo affects my daily life one way or the other. Hey, if they change it, then all the merch and memorabilia I have here in my office, they become collector's items because the logo is now different. So, it in the grand scheme of things, logos, team names, stadium names, naming rights, they're just things for people to argue about. They really make no difference. It won't change the history of the team. It won't change the future of the team. It just is. It's a logo on a sweater. And
it
people
doesn't take the cups away. It doesn't take away.
No, everybody. It's like when Facebook or Twitter changes the way it looks on the website for 3 days. All you see is, my God, I hate this. I hate this. I'm never going to use this site again. And then 3 days later, they forget what the old site looked like. It's just people want to react and get angry about things, and that's fine. You're entitled to that, but they'll find something else to get angry about 2 days after they change the logo.
Right. And don't worry, the Hawks give you a lot of things to be angry about.
Yes, and then you'll all pop into my Twitter feed and yell at me like I'm responsible for it again. Like apparently, everything the Blackhawks do wrong is my fault. So I apologize, Blackhawk fans, for being such a dick.
Well, thanks to most people for being cool in the chat and not getting all riled up and angry at everyone. We appreciate it. And the best way to keep supporting us here at CHGO is to download that PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Not only will you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but when you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership. That unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. And in case you missed it, by now you should know, online sign-up is available in Illinois. Take out your phone, go to the App Store, whether it's iOS or Android, whatever, download that PointsBet app, register your account, and use that code CHGO. You'll be signing up with the fastest sports book, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Another good way to support us here at CHGO and to support yourself is to get yourself some Athletic Greens and their AG1 formula. Picked up some more of it myself the last time I was in the office, so that was good. Needed to get restocked up. What is AG1, you may ask? Is that my new tagline with these reads? I think I'm gonna make that the new tagline there. Their AG1 formula. It is a nutritional powder designed to improve your gut health, optimize your immune system, and give you more natural energy. In just 1 scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. And if you have different dietary restrictions, whether it's gluten-free, dairy-free, or you follow keto or paleo or vegan diets, whatever it is with AG1, you're good to go. It's easy to incorporate into your life no matter how busy you might be. It's a small once-a-day habit with big benefits. And right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is go to athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Yeah, good conversation happening in the chat here. There's so many of our longtime YouTubers hanging out with us and bringing up really great points. And there's some new people in here that are unhappy. And it's the new people saying this country's going down the drain and everyone's offended by everything. You're the only one mad. It's just a conversation. Mad. It's just a conversation.
I'm not mad.
If the changing of a sports logo means the country's going down the drain and other things do not mean that, like let's reprioritize here. Where is your anger? Is it correctly aimed at a hockey team's logo? Again, none of the three of us are mad. It's right over my shoulder. It's right behind Greg. I see it on Mario's shelf. The logo's everywhere. We enjoy the logo. All we're saying is the
3 iterations of it.
I have the Tomahawk C tattooed on my leg. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm not offended by it. But if a group that is large enough then we have to listen to them because everybody's feelings count. That's how society should work. Everybody gets a say. Everybody has their feelings worth at the same value. That's all I'm saying. So if there
Speaking of Blackhawks tattoos, Andrew S. here in his comment, his picture is the Blackhawks logo in a Stanley Cup.
Nice.
There you go.
An arm or leg? Can't see what that is, but hopefully an arm or a leg.
I hope it's an arm.
And there was a really good question.
If not, congratulations.
Hey, now I'm offended.
This is getting off the rails again.
My bad again. Sorry.
No, hey, I think it's what our loyal listeners.
Oh, here's my hot dog delivery. Oh, sorry.
Speaking of the picture,
I think I was wondering what you were talking about there for a second. I think our loyal listeners, our daily listeners, have come to expect us to just take it in a completely different direction at least once per episode. So you can count on that at least. But getting back to the discussion, Windy City Hockey had a good question. Do you think they would change all the banners at the UC if they did change the logo? That's a good question. Maybe, maybe not. I know other teams keep the banners of their old logos to represent those teams at that time, but maybe, you know, if they're deeming this as like, hey, we want to not have this logo, or if they want to appreciate the history of the team, they'll keep it up. That's a good question that I think they'll have to have a lot of internal discussions about. I don't see an issue with changing the logo and then keeping those up to represent those teams that wore that logo. But if it comes to the conclusion that logo just needs to go, then they'll probably change it.
Do the current banners all have the same logo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't know if the
that.
first ones that they raised had like the one from the 80s or whatever, or 90s. But if they're all uniform, yeah,
they're all uniform.
I don't know. I don't know what they would do.
I like the idea that if they do change it, that any banner beyond 2015 would have whatever's new, right? I think that it just to illustrate the passage of time and to show, like we said, like showing what the history was. Again, it's not Chief Wahoo, right? It's just not. And the other thing we should give the Hawks credit for too is they have really put their foot down on any sort of people coming in wearing headdresses.
Yeah, that stopped.
They no longer do the Native American drum beat, like the like Tommy Hawk used to do that, and they would do it on the organ sometimes. That is stopped. So I think the only real Native American acknowledgement aside from the logo and the land acknowledgement, that's it. There's no tomahawk chop, and there never has been. Great, thankfully, that is ridiculous. The tomahawk chop is absurd.
I think we can all agree with that, except for Atlanta and Kansas City.
Right, and I think a lot of people in those towns probably feel the same way too. Just don't want to get into it. I do think and that's what started this conversation. If you jumped in late, the Hawks issued a statement on their social media today from Danny Wirtz, a really well produced, well scripted video talking about the things they've done over the last 2 years to advance things, including launching a new scholarship for 2 4-year scholarships for Native students to go to college. The donation of a Blackhawk chopper for a war memorial for the Sac and Fox Nations. They've done a lot of the right things, and that's what led us to, is this coming next? Is this going to be one of the initiatives taken? And we don't know the answer to that. We don't know if the answer is that it should or shouldn't be. I just think it's worth talking about it as something that a lot of people care about. Myself, I do care about it. Like, this is a topic that interests me, and I think all three of us. Again, listening to the people it affects is what the Hawks are doing, and it's what they should continue to do. And if they say, look, thanks for the chopper, and these scholarships are wonderful, and we really like the land acknowledgement, it's really great, but that shirt you're wearing, can we talk about that? And you got to say, you know what? Yes, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And that's when the conversation begins. And then
and I think I don't know about you guys, but when I saw that video start, I thought, oh boy, here it comes. Like I thought it was going to be you know the acknowledgement of the native land that the Blackhawks are on, everything that Danny was talking about. I thought, here it comes. They're changing something. So that for me, that just kind of puts me in a place where I'm sure some other people thought the same thing, is that, it is kind of at the tipping point that if something was going to happen like this, it would be the timing. And to Jay's point, yeah, I think it definitely, the change, if it happens, if it doesn't personally affect our lives, but it will affect other people. It will affect, their lives, and their, not just, because of the logo, but of what it represents. And I think there's in the video that the Blackhawks put out, like we said at the start of the show, it acknowledges a lot of the terrible things that Indigenous people have had to endure, and what a lot of the Blackhawks are working towards to kind of help other initiatives and create their own to be in the work of making those amends. And I think that is the important thing. If the logo changes, I'm not going to be mad. I'll probably actually I'll be at least intrigued to see what the change is. But it's not it's not going to impact my life, but it really will impact others. And I think that is the big takeaway is, to Greg's point, listening to other people's experiences, listening to other people's perspectives is really important, and something that we need more of outside of this conversation, in broader conversations.
There's absolutely nothing wrong listening to a group of people in our society that may feel that their heritage has just been marginalized to be a logo for a sports team and nothing else.
Right.
If that's their concern, all you can do is listen and then go from there. And that's all they're doing right now. So, you know, they're making the right steps here. What they choose to do with what they're learning, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple other teams have made changes like this. Obviously the Cleveland Guardians, everyone has seen their new logos, and I think people like the logo, just not thrilled with the name, which is understandable, but it's very close to Indians, kind of the same cadence, all those sort of things. Even when they changed the sign on the scoreboard, it was only a couple letters that they had to replace. But the Portland Winterhawks of the Western Hockey League used to wear that 80s version of the Hawks logo, sort of a less detailed, I would say sloppier version of the old Hawks logo.
It was more cartoony.
Yeah.
Of what is already a cartoon.
So the Winterhawks changed to the logo on your screen if you're watching on
this
YouTube.
Logo.
Really cool.
Great.
It's got the mountains in the background, which obviously wouldn't work for Chicago, but you know, maybe something with the skyline or whatever. And you could also change the coloring of, you know, you could make the head of the bird black and the beak the same color of gold as the skin on the warrior head. You'd have to face it the other way, but you can make it very reminiscent of the of the Blackhawks current logo, and have the different colored feathers on the back.
Yeah, so you can even incorporate those in there as long as you keep that green. God, I love the green in that
green
feather.
Is so good.
It's my favorite part of the Blackhawks logo. There's so many ways, but I love that logo, and they kept the same colors. They still have the black, white, and red.
Their jerseys scheme is the same, which I would imagine the Blackhawks would do as well.
Right. I can't see them reimagining the whole uniform. It's just removing one logo, putting in another.
Not worth it.
Right.
There's the Miami, Ohio Redhawks that used to be the same name as the Washington football team. They changed theirs. Similar angry looking red hawk.
A stern hawk.
You can see, I would say that font is maybe cartoonishly native. Which, if that's like the worst thing you're doing, I don't know. That's kind of the vibe I got from it. It does have kind of a native feel, like a feathery look to it, kind of. But that's just me.
It looks like I mean, to me, this looks like, you know, what like a soda company in the 90s would have their lettering look
Red
like.
Hawks Max with triple the caffeine.
Red Hawk beer next to Red Dog and Red Wolf.
Right.
Yeah, that Red Hawk does not look happy. Looks very disappointing.
No. Have you watched Miami of Ohio football recently?
Case of the Mondays.
I can't say I have.
There you go.
By the way, my buddy Mike was once the Red Hawks mascot. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an experience.
Hey, the Bears drafted a Red Hawk. Come on. Dominic Robinson.
Dominic Robinson.
Edge rusher.
Greatest Red Hawk of all time.
That's exactly right.
Number one.
Not that gross guy in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he does suck, but he had that 190-yard pass that was pretty cool back in the day.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, if the Blackhawks wanted to go that direction of imagining the Hawk, using the same color scheme, I think it would look great. I think it would be, again, I'm no artist. I have no artistic abilities whatsoever, but I can imagine something in my brain. It's just my hands can't produce it.
Okay, hold on. We need to have you guys each design the logo in your terrible art.
I'm doing it right now.
Definitely something we need to put on Twitter.
I'm literally drawing it right now.
I got some
pencil.
I got some pen and
right
paper.
I'm gonna do
I
it.
mean, I don't mean like in the next 6 minutes.
No, it's done, Lawrence.
Okay,
I'm almost done.
Put 60 seconds on the clock. Who can draw the best Hawk?
What do I
got?
All right, I think I've solved the problem. I think I've come up with the perfect logo. There we go.
Is that an Angry Bird?
Yeah, there you go. That's
great.
We have solved the problem. I
right.
have solved the logo problem
Let's
for the
see.
Blackhawks.
Let's see what I can do here.
You can email me blackhawks@allchgo.com and we'll discuss terms.
It's got
It looks like Tommy Hawk's illegitimate child or something.
This is how I used to draw birds back in the day. So there it is, right there. It's just a bird. There we go.
Butt Hawks.
Sorry for all of you those listening to the audio only version. You're not missing a damn thing.
I would say they are missing something. I
Hold
think
on, I gotta
this
get
is-
this
Yeah,
tape.
I think we'll have to post these on some sort of on the CHGO Blackhawks Twitter or something.
well, yeah, we'll have to send screenshots to you, Lawrence.
We need to get it. We need to get an office etch and sketch, and each of us get a crack at the etch and sketch.
Hey, we just got a printer, so that's like
Yeah, woo.
Hey, welcome to
Moving on up.
1993. Woohoo!
Ah, too bad we had to fire Joey to get it. It's a shame.
well,
Could have
I
been
know.
there, some
All right,
angry eyes.
Chuckle Mucko said I drew a mutant Tweety bird. How dare you, sir? Don't you see this feathery things?
Don't. Yeah. That,
There we
I drew
go.
the eye kind of like the Blackhawks eye. It's not too bad.
Yeah, right here. Here we got
He's
this.
he's a little derpy.
There we got that. Get some angry eyes on him.
No, it can't be angry though. But it's
actually-
maybe they'll allow
I
an
can't
angry
wait
bird.
to see Mario.
Yeah, this is going to be a work of art. I'm really
get
the
some
tension is killing me here.
handwriting. Handwriting is bad. Oh, the
Using
handwriting.
surge.
The handwriting's really bad. Okay, here we
Here
are.
we go. The big reveal.
The Chicago Blackhawks with the skyline in the background.
there it is.
That building is definitely unstable.
That is the Sears Tower
Oh,
reimagined.
sure. We're reimagining that now
Yeah,
too. Okay.
So yeah, that there you go. I don't know how that would look on a jersey, but probably awful.
Now,
But that's what we
now
got.
we know we don't want Mario being an artist or an architect.
I told you.
Yeah, definitely.
I
not.
have no
Two
artistic.
birds.
In my head, that picture looks amazing.
Have you seen the Sears Tower?
Speaking of etch and sketch drawings, that's what that looked like.
Oh, that was
That kind of looked like the big chicken that Peter Griffin always gets in a fight with on Family Guy.
there you go.
Yeah.
That was the inspiration.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's
inspiration.
good job. Good sound effects, Lawrence. Oh man, yeah. Well, you know what? We solved something today. I really think that we accomplished what we were trying to set out, and the Hawks can just take their pick, or maybe they just have 3 different jerseys. You know, road, home, alternate, alternating between all 3 of our fantastic logos.
Yeah.
So, they look good. They look
The
good.
next,
All right,
the next time I design a logo for anybody, maybe I'll design a CHGO shirt. We can can just say
Lawrence, jump on again.
there we go. I think we have a good idea.
We have to make shirts of these.
Yeah.
We have to make shirts of our
those.
logos.
Of those things.
Yes.
Yes, those will sell.
we'll send
We
them
need
to
a
Eric.
series-
We
need
can
a
send them to
series of
Eric and
stick
say you
figure
can't
shirts."
change a thing
Just put these on
as
shirt sleeves.
is.
That's
Oh,
fun.
we're gonna be able to retire off the money those shirts make.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could
Those will
just
sell a
See
million.
it now.
All right. Well, before we wrap up and before Greg gets to his play of the week, thank you everybody for being cool in the chat for the most part. We got through the show. We're laughing. We're smiling. We're not angry. We're not throwing anything. We're not calling each other names. Again, it's just a conversation. It's a conversation that's not going to go away. The Hawks know it, but I just want to be clear with my message, and I don't want to speak for Mario and Greg, but I think they agree. I think what the Hawks have been doing is commendable and it is meaningful. And it's not just, we better do this before we get in trouble for the logo. I think it's genuine and I think it's sincere. And if you've been to a Hawks game next year, plenty of tickets available, I promise. Check out that land acknowledgement because it's great. And I think you can find that. I think on their YouTube, they have the land acknowledgement and it's fantastic. It's really, really well done. And I do think they deserve credit for doing the things they're doing and more things to come. So, a cynic would look at this and say, this is damage control, so they don't have to change the logo. Maybe. I tend to look at things optimistically, and I do think they're truly trying to make a difference for these communities that, let's be honest, like very much need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing these things, whether you want to say, oh, it's just damage control, doing them is better than not doing them at all. So if we're setting the bar that low, at least they're clearing that. At least they're doing something to help these communities that the Blackhawks, honestly, for many years, haven't really done much for. And I think there's a lot that there's a lot more that can be done, but the direction that the new ownership or the front office, the direction they're taking the team, I think is a positive one, off the ice at least. There's a lot that they have to make amends for. There's a lot of trust. That is something that Danny spoke about in the video. There's a lot of trust that needs to be brought back to the organization in many different ways. And I think this is one way that they're trying to do that and build that with the indigenous people's communities. And I think that is the right thing to do. That is commendable. And yeah, I think that's the way it should. That's the way it should be.
All right, Greg, you got our play of the week here. What are we going to do? What's the move?
I do. We're going in a completely different direction, based on something that's going to go in a lot of different directions. Is
this a cricket bet?
Yes. No, those weren't available in Illinois. I think I had to move to India or England to place those bets. But
okay.
One of the other hot topics that got people all fired up over the last couple of days in Chicago is that NASCAR race that's coming to Chicago. A road course race. Formula One is popular as ever. Let's bring in NASCAR. Cool. Let's close
happens every night on I-57.
Yeah, let's close down Grant Park for the entire summer for something that nobody in Chicago asked for. But anywho, because Chicago is getting a NASCAR race, allegedly, reportedly
next summer,
2023, I believe. Yes, 4th of July weekend, Grant Park closed. Good idea. Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
And then let's keep it closed to set up for Lollapalooza. So essentially, no Grant Park in the summer of 2023. Get it in now while you can.
Where's the parade route going to go then?
Downers Grove.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We got all season to figure it out.
Yeah, it's not my problem. I don't care. There it is. Look at that.
Here we are.
Fantastic. So in honor of Chicago finally getting that NASCAR race we've been begging for decades.
Finally,
I'm going to do our points bet play of the week on this weekend's NASCAR race. Woo! They are at the Pocono Speedway, the historic Pocono Speedway in the beautiful mountains of Pennsylvania. And I went on there, who should
that's the one that's got like
it's like a weird triangle kind of
triangle race.
Yeah, it's a tri-oval, I believe they call. Yes,
I remember that from the old NASCAR video games back in the day. I remember
it's got that
Pocono,
weird turn in the middle of the track.
Pocono's always sucked racing at because I was just like, I just want to do the big speedways. This is dumb. Anyway.
So I looked up at the odds, and then I realized that I haven't watched NASCAR in a long time because I only recognize like 3 names to choose from.
Is
one
Jeff
of them
Gordon
I recognized. No Dale Earnhardt. I'm shocked. I don't know what happened there, but Kyle Busch was a name I actually recognized. And then I looked at the history. Kyle Busch has won 3 of the last 6 NASCAR races held at Pocono Speedway. And his odds are currently plus 700. Those things together made me think, that could be a good bet. You get some good value. You get a guy that's got a history of winning. He's won literally half of the last 6 races that have been held there. So I'm going. Grid? I don't think they've gotten that far. I don't even think they've qualified yet. So I don't know where he's starting, but he's plus 700 to win the M&M's Fan Appreciation 400 this weekend at the Pocono Raceway. So that's what I'm going for. A little different, a little fun. I might actually tune in to see where we are on that.
If you're betting on it.
Because wasn't Kyle Busch the M&M car for a long time? That would be fun.
Yeah, he was.
I believe let's ask the guy that hangs out at the White Sox games and wears that jacket in the 100-degree heat for the last. The inside of that thing must smell freaking awful.
But the outside's not great either.
Yeah, dude, we get it. You've got your gimmick. Speaking of people who need to change their logos, let's talk about M&M guy or pink hat guy. Anywho, that's another podcast. So Kyle Busch plus 700 to win the big NASCAR race in Pennsylvania this weekend.
That's
my points bet play of the week.
All right.
Hammer that bet.
Before and hammer that like button. I forgot to say it again. If you're on YouTube, hit it right now. Smash that like button for us. One thing we want to call to your attention before we wrap on the CHGO Sports Twitter at CHGO_sports, the crew has gone 1 through 99, the best player to wear each jersey number 1 through 99 in Chicago sports history. And I have to say, there are very few of these I take issue with. We'll get into it more
Yeah.
tomorrow, unless the Blackhawks drop some news on us.
We'll get to this by September when we finally slow down.
Yeah, but that's a real solid list. Go look at it. I know that Lawrence, was there a change made overnight when someone pointed out, hey, Paul Konerko is great, but Ernie Banks wore number 14.
No.
Did I have a seizure and see
No, it was
Paul
always-
Konerko on your
No. It was always Ernie. Always
Okay.
Ernie.
All right, good.
No Shane McClellan at 99. God.
Yeah, I'm not
Wow.
sure. You know, there is people responding to the tweet like, "Oh, what about Konerko? He was awesome." I mean, it's
It's
freaking
not
Mr. Cub, for fuck's sake. What are we talking
Oh, yeah,
about?
Paul
here?
Konerko would tell you it should be Ernie Banks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
So would any other person that ever wore 14 in this city.
Yeah. Ooh,
Right.
Who's your favorite Hawk to wear 14?
Rennie Bork,
I can't even think of one.
first one that
Chris-
popped to mind.
The
Chris
only one I
Fleury.
think of-
Chris
the only one I-
Kunitz.
There you go, Chris Kunitz, development. The only one that pops in my head is Chris Campoli, and we're not going there.
No.
Richard
Will not go there.
Panic.
Yeah.
you go.
There you go.
Dick
That's
Panic
called-
has
that's-
hit Chicago again.
There you
Two-
go. I'm
that's
surprised
20.
Alex Nylander wasn't 92.
Or Michael. His father won
Ah,
MVP for the
that's
Hawks
true,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta go with the Nick Cage lookalike Bernie Nichols.
Yeah, we'll get into this list tomorrow because I want to go through it carefully. I want to make sure I have my thoughts. We're also going to do Mario wrote a great piece for allchgo.com today. And whatever we're promoting for tomorrow probably won't happen because the Hawks are going to drop some sort of news on us, and we're going to talk about that.
And eventually one day
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about where some of our former Blackhawks ended up too. I mean, that's been like it's something we've wanted to talk about for 3 or 4 days, and we just can't get to
Yes.
it. So
And oh yeah, Duncan Keith retired.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
yeah.
Monday we're gonna have Evan Moore on the show to talk about all kinds of more fun stuff.
Let's
Let's
Moore
get
content.
uncomfortable with Evan
Excuse-
Moore on Monday.
Excuse me, Bob.
Nick, by the way, says that Kyle Busch is driving the M&M's car this weekend.
There you go.
Oh,
It's meant
so
to
he
be.
has to win.
It's the M&M race. He's the M&M car. How is he only plus 700?
Come on.
There you go. Game misconduct.
And then
Monday
just real
show.
quickly-
Monday show.
Oh, that's a good one. Real quickly, Michael's here. It says disrespect to Siebes and Hajarmelson, if that's how I like to call him. Number 7 was a very hot topic. So
Yeah,
There's
Again,
so many.
Easy Boy was like right there.
I
So.
think Tony Kukoc is third best. It's number 7 at best. But we'll
It
get
should
into
be-
it.
It should be Mark DeRosa, my friends.
D-Row.
Greatest Cub ever. Remember when he returned here and he got like 95 standing ovations to be on a
Yeah.
team that never did shit?
You know what? We're all dumb. We're all
This
very
is true.
dumb.
We watch sports religiously. That doesn't make us the smartest people in the
No, it
world.
does not. All right, let's wrap this up. Lawrence has things to do. He's got hot dogs to eat
I
and
do.
shows to produce.
You
So-
did take my hot dog, didn't you? I knew it.
But
Okay,
there's
here's
one
the-
guy. I mean, it was a long walk from the bottom, from the front door back up to the third floor.
No,
We're lucky to
you
eat
were-
all three
you
of
were
them.
doing an ad read. I held for effect. I paused.
You owe me a chili dog.
The guy handed it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's really light." I was like, "There's no way he bought me a hot dog." I was like, "Mario, come on, where's my hot dog?"
Did he have
and then,
chili? Did he have chili hanging off his chin or something?
I looked at the bag and it had the 3
He's
dogs
farting
listed, and I was like,
uncontrollably.
Damn, that's light. There's clearly no fries in here either. But I mean, that's pathetic. I can't
Listen.
believe they asked that up. But that is your life.
That is my life.
It's a good
That
bit.
is,
Can't get
that
through
is
the
my
board
life
now.
at the CHGO studios.
Yeah, our
I am.
CHGO
I
studios-
think I'm 1 for 6 in getting
Yeah,
food delivered.
I had one.
properly.
I had an order lost too on
not good.
a late night show too that never showed up. So the CHGO Studios is the Bermuda Triangle for delivery food. It's just not happening.
It's on
You
like
got to go out and get it yourself. We've learned that lesson the hard way.
It's on
It's-
like a
well-
street that's an alley. It's like a
Yeah,
half
but-
street.
That was just the problem one time, for me at least. But the other times, the food has been missing.
I just
Yeah.
don't trust
I don't
DoorDash
know.
at all. Like that's a rant I could go into, but whatever.
No, deliver people's food, get free dinner. That's the perks of those doors. Hey, I like fries.
One for you, one
what
for
do you
me.
mean they weren't? Yeah, they weren't in the bag. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that guy did look like he had some chili dripping off his chin.
There
when he
you
handed
go.
us back.
Yeah,
noticed
I
that.
figured as much.
All
There
right,
was a bean in
good
his
show.
beard.
Good show, boys. I know it was it's a hot topic, and I know it's something that a lot of people get upset about. But again, thanks to everybody in the chat for being cool for the most part and having a nice open conversation. And this is, like I said, this is going to be something that lingers for a while. But again, kudos to the Hawks for listening. kudos to the Hawks for sincerely trying to take care of Indigenous peoples in this area and beyond. They need it. They need the help, and the Hawks have the resources to provide that help. So kudos to them for doing it. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We are audio only tomorrow. I think we're recording around 10 a.m. So look for the new episode around 11:30 noonish, based on how quickly your podcast app updates.
Expect so we'll Blackhawks news at 11.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So we'll talk to you Friday on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Thanks, Lawrence, for producing. We love you. Have a great one.
All right.